All right, here's the thing. Gal Gadot is worth a ton of money, so I don't know how much she cares about if she's out of the spotlight or something. She seems to be untouchable because she did that cringy Imagine thing, and then in 2014 she posted, I don't know, something about the Israeli Defense Force thing, which triggered a lot of people, and then she took up Wonder Woman, and that triggered a lot of people too. One thing to consider is Wonder Woman Part 2 was a huge bomb, and that was horrible. This is probably also going to be a bomb because it's got just too much weirdness attached to it. But, she's 37, and in Hollywood, 37 that's very old for a woman. A guy might, like a Brad Pitt at 37, might just be reaching his prime. And though Gal Gadot's aging very well, 37 that's really old for Hollywood. So here's her doing her sexy soldier bit, which is kind of a weird flex when you're posing with an Uzi. And really, the best thing to do is this thing. Okay, let me try to explain this in a politically correct manner for YouTube. The far left, the far left is very much against Israel. The moderate left says they're against Israel, and the media says they're kind of vaguely against Israel, or at least they're on the side of Palestinians because they're the oppressed in the oppressive Marxist doublespeak relationship. But if it ever came time to for someone to say, okay, yeah, we need to stop giving Israel $5 billion a year, well, they're not going to go that far. So they're claiming to be against Israel when it's safe for them to be against Israel. So all these people are like pro the BDS stuff. It's like, yeah, you're not really hurting Israel if you boycott some I don't know, pickle, whatever. It's just not that big a deal. It's like, but when it comes time to something serious, like, okay, should we divest ourselves militarily of them? Well, all these shills who, when it's safe to take a position that doesn't involve anything at risk, all of a sudden, like, they're going to be nowhere to be found. So you know what I'm saying? Okay, so the left is generally, at least on the face of it, saying they're against Israel. The right, there's two segments of this Christian right. One is pro-Israel, though I'm not sure if they're just pro the geography of Israel as some kind of like magic land or something, though. There are other people like Edwin Boyette, Doug Knaple, Mike Miller who are probably more knowledgeable on that. And then there's the Christian who are anti-Israel for other religious reasons, so they're kind of split on that. And then there's the far right, which is anti-Israel because they're anti the whole Zio global homo thing. So you got a lot of people on social media who are saying they're anti-Israel, but like, I think when it comes down to it, these people on the left, I think they would back off that if push came to shove. If it came time to move money around or move military things around, I think it's just, they're saying it because it doesn't matter. It's like, you're never going to call them on it. It's like a kid saying something, but, he knows his wish is never going to get granted. He's never going to be held responsible. See, I'm trying to say is, like, a lot of these people in Hollywood, they're never going to be held responsible for making these insane claims about, like, Sarah Silverman, she did some speech where she went off on trans women or women. And if you don't know what a trans woman is, well, I don't know if I can explain on YouTube. A long diatribe on trans women should be able to compete in sports against girls. And I technically agree with her, but not for the same reason. I agree with her just for accelerationism. Let people see what an absurdity it is. Because the issue is not who wins first or place if there's no value on those things. The thing is, there is value because there's scholarships and there's advertising and there's sponsorships involved. So what you end up with is you'd have men winning everything, which is hysterical to me. And obviously that would put an end to it within a year. It would just be like, this is patently absurd. This is an absurdity. So when they say things like, Sarah Silverman makes these brave, courageous statements, she's not putting anything at risk. Her kid is not losing out. And even if her kid lost out on a scholarship, well, she's a multimillionaire. It doesn't hurt her. So all these Hollywood people, they're singing Imagine, they did that song, and it was like, her, Gal Gadot, a bunch of these other idiots. Well, they all live in mansions. And they all have, this is in the beginning of the gift from China, they all have delivery services, and they all have like personal chefs, and it just, the self-awareness is insanely low. And I'm surprised Will Ferrell was in there too. It's like some of these people, I expect more of them, but don't expect anything from Hollywood. They are so far removed from ordinary people, like worrying about having to pay bills, that they're just on another planet where they say things. It's like wealthy, clueless people say things. They just have no idea what they're saying is so stupid. Like, oh, you should just go to Paris for vacation. It's like, okay, dude, I'll get right on that. Okay, so the takeaway from that is celebrities are idiots and they should have handlers. The worst thing you can do is, like, if you're a celebrity, is run your own social media account. You should have a firm, like a public relations firm, just release your publicity stuff, or just be smart about it. Like, if this is a hot button issue and you're trying to sell your brand, stay out of it. Anyway, so what she said was, my heart breaks, my country is at war, and she was in the IDF. I worry for my family, my friends, I worry about for my people. This is a vicious cycle that has been going on for far too long. Well, yeah, I mean, you guys did invade in 1948. Though I kind of get the feeling that Bounding in the Comics crowd is pro-Israel. But whatever, it's like whether you're pro or anti-Israel, it's, it's like spitting in the ocean. You're going to have no effect on these kind of things. She deserves to live as a free and safe nation. Our neighbors deserve the same. See, this was a point of contention in Twitter because she didn't say Palestine. So, which is kind of why wouldn't you say Palestine? You said Israel, but you wouldn't say Palestine. It's a little bit weird. Our neighbors, yes, your neighbors are the Palestinians. I pray for the victims and their families. I pray for this unimaginable hostility, and I pray for our leaders to find these solutions so we can live side by side in peace. I pray for better days. So that got her in trouble. And what happened was they fired a few rockets into Gaza, and the Iron Dome ballistic defense shot them down. It's like really not a big deal. That's what the system is for. But when this happened a few years ago, Twitter they were anti-Israel, but it wasn't to the extent it is now. Because now it feels like the first 100 days of Biden, and if you voted for Biden, you've got to be having buyer's regret. Like, things are, like, even if there's a lot of people who voted for Biden, they're like, orange man bad, and like, they'll excuse anything Biden does. The guy's, he's 78, he's got dementia, he doesn't know what's going on. His cabinet is running America, and America is kind of going to shit. It's not like the Colonial Pipeline thing. Is that his fault? No, not really. It's not. I mean, you can't, but he's the executive in charge. The buck stops with him. So if you're going to give people credit and blame for things, it stops at the executive. It's not really his fault, but there's a lot of other, like, gas prices were going up. There's consumer confidence is going down. The stock market is affected by it because everyone looks at Biden and they're like, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. He's a leader, needs to make fast decisions. Now, Trump was, I don't know, almost the same age, like 74, but he's still quick. He's still able to make quick cognitive decisions. Biden can't. Everyone knows this. Even if the people hate Trump so much, they're willing to watch America burn. And so what happens is they go, the mice will play when the cats are away. That's what's happening now because you've got a committee making decisions. Biden has a dozen people, executive cabinet, who, oddly enough, his dozen top cabinet members have dual citizenship with Israel, this foreign nation. So, like, Biden's coming out and saying, oh, we're staunchly pro-Israel. It's like, your cabinet literally has dual citizenship. Why is that even legal? That blows my mind. But if you bring that up, it's like, oh, suddenly you're deplatformed. So, I mean, if someone made it to the 8.5 minute mark in the video, yes, I guess you could get me yeeted from YouTube. But that seems crazy to me. It seems crazy to a lot of people. It's like, you shouldn't advocate. You shouldn't be you can't be a zealous advocate for your country if you literally have a second country to retreat to. That blows my mind. It's like, that shows you how powerful what is AIPAC really is. Where's I going with this? Oh, quick decisions. Yeah, things have to go through a committee. You've got Kamala Harris meeting with heads of state. She's a VP. That's not how it's done. The executive meets with the executive, and the vice meets with the vice, and all these kind of things. But Biden doesn't know what's going on, so he has Kamala Harris meet with various presidents and prime ministers. That's insane. If a decision has to go through his executive cabinet and Kamala Harris, that's a decision delayed when delays are, and everyone has a bias. So you've got China's going to act up, North Korea's going to do whatever the hell they want, the Middle East is going to do whatever the hell it wants. Like, yes, things are going to go to shit. And I'm not saying this just because I'm anti-Biden, pro-Trump, because I'm not really pro either one of them. But yes, you don't have a leader in the White House right now, so things are going to go to shit. Buy white rice. White rice lasts a long time. Maybe some water filtration kit, some a Liberty device, at least one Liberty device, and some Freedom pellets. You know, anything you had like a 22 is a whole lot better than your genitals in your hand. And a 9 is better than a 22, and a 223 is better than both. Anyway, you get where I'm going with that. Something is better than nothing. And if you're in an area where you can't have anything, then pepper spray is better than throwing anything. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, guys. And I will see you on Odysee and BitChute, which is funny that the BitChute in a couple months is going to be double the YouTube, but it is what it is.